Hey, what's up, folks? How y'all doing today? Been sitting around the house all day doing a whole lot of nothing. And just getting a little with all the hoopla that I'm seeing and all the things that are going on. You know, slavery, if you look at slavery and you just look at it from the American point of view and you don't look at world history, it looks like white people are pretty bad. That sucks. That just literally sucks. If you take the Bible, I think that in the Bible, Moses went into Egypt to free the slaves. That's an interesting concept. Let's take Persia. They enslaved every city that they came into. That's why they had a million-man army. They were slaves. They weren't just volunteers or scripts. They were slaves. When the Spartans used to invade a city or a neighboring community, they took them as slaves. Let's see. If you weren't a true-blooded Roman, the odds are you were a slave. If they invaded your neighborhood, if they conquered an area, those people were enslaved. So let's get rid of the thought that slavery is a new thing. It's old. It goes back, way back. Now I want to talk about America. Yeah, we got one hell of a glitch in our system with that word, with that thing. Stupidest, ignorantest thing that could have possibly happened. But let's be honest. Slavery started before America was even American. It was people from the old world. It was Spaniards. It was Germans. It was the English. It was a lot of people coming over here with their old world ideas and starting a life. Does that justify it? No. But it's a fact. It's a fact that the natives in Africa fought to take over their neighbors and had them enslaved and sold them to people who brought them to America. Does that make it right? No. But if you only teach one part of history, that's all you know. That's all you learn. People say, make America great again. When was it ever great? We have fought against these things and these oppressions and these ways of treating people since the beginning. We've had people who stood up and said, this is not right. See, the Civil War didn't start with a bunch of slaves rising up and saying, we don't like this, we don't like this. They were saying it, but they were shot. Stupid. But in reality, it was a bunch of people that felt that it was wrong. It was unjust to enslave people. And they started fighting against it. And they started talking about it. It took years to get over the old world point of view. The old world way of living. Go back and look at England's history. Go back and look at Spain's history. Go back and look at Roman history, Greek history, Egyptian history, Persian history, Asian history. The only reason that I'm going here right now and the only reason that I'm stepping into this is because our schools have been taught, our children are taught the wrong things. They're walking up and down the street right now thinking that early Americans invented and created slavery. And if you think that racism, and we're going to go into this because that's the next important subject matter after slavery, is something that was born into your DNA, go somewhere with that. Never once in my life have I ever felt that another man should be discriminated based on their color, on the way they look. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a lot of anger over this. I wasn't born a racist. I didn't learn to be a racist. So I got a level head. I'm smart enough to look at somebody and say, they bleed like me. They have the same earnings and yearnings and desires. They work for a living. They bleed and they sweat and they bust their butt and they pay bills and they pay taxes and they do what they can to take care of their family. And that don't matter what your color is. That's called being a human. That's called caring and loving about those around you. I grew up as a child in the 70s, shortly after desegregation. Racism was a lot different back then than it is now. It was a lot different than it is now. I see more people together. I see more people standing together than ever in the past. We have a problem. And we have a problem that lies in the beginning of our children's education. The way they're educated, the way they're taught, the way they're shoved into a school like a piece of material, and that piece of material has to go through every stage and meet a qualification standard at every age group in order for them to come out at the end. And in the process, they're teaching them what they want to teach them. Maybe there needs to be a class in school on slavery and racism and the equality of humanity, not the separation. How we're all the same. Maybe that's something that needs to be taught yearly. Maybe we need to look at our schools and see what's going on. I mean, if you're honestly going to take and say that Columbus is such a bad guy because he sailed across the ocean and found America, that he brought bugs to America and killed people, diseases and stuff, polio and chickenpox and everything. Get this through your head. If it wasn't him, it'd have been somebody else. Technology was improving. Boats were improving. People were taking risks. Columbus was not the person that brought the slaves to America. Columbus was not the person that sat down and said, we need to enslave people to grow this great country. He sailed across the ocean. And I know there's lots of reports out there and you can go look at whatever you want. But let's be honest. If it wasn't him, it would have been somebody else. It was inevitable. It was going to happen. Is it justifiable of what happened to the Native Americans? No. But remember, we're dealing with old world people and old ways. Old world people and old ways. Conquer and destroy. Take land. It wasn't Americans. It was old world people and old world ways. Now, at some point in time, I will agree, it continued on. But you don't change a group of people overnight. I'm not justifying what happened to Native Americans. That sucked too. I am an American. I am proud to be an American. If you take those rights away from us, if you take everything that we've struggled to fight for and to change away, then we're going to go right back to where we come from. Somebody's got to stand up. See, somebody has to stand up because it still goes on. There's still people in England who operate in Africa who are selling people. There is still Muslim groups and other groups, and I don't mean to call out anybody. I apologize if I just offended anybody. But it's the truth. There is still groups of people out there who are enslaving others and selling them. There's still people right here in this country that are being enslaved for one reason or another. But we ain't looking at that, are we? We ain't looking at the fact that the average black and Asian and Latino and white actually get along and work together and build this country every day. Every day. Things need to change. And we need to really look at what's going on. So anybody who wants to spew that slavery is an American thing, that racism is an American thing, I suggest that you go look at your history books. You go read your Bible. You go read the things that are out there and get some knowledge in your head. It ain't a white thing. It's a power versus commoner thing. This is a point I've already tried to make. Power versus commoner. The common man versus those people that have power or think they're in power. We got to step above and beyond this. We got to get control. And we got to teach our children the right thing, or the next generation is going to grow up worse. Socialism and all these other little things that have existed in the past that didn't work are going to become our reality. And I'm reaching a point now where it really ain't going to matter. I'm just going to kick back and laugh. Laugh at the fact that we've already lived through it time and time again and now have to do it again because people wanted to be in power and they wanted to do things. They wanted to manipulate the mainstream media. They wanted to dictate what you read, seen, and heard. They wanted to change what the stories to suit their standards. They wanted to lie on a regular basis so that people would believe everything that was said to them. They want to take our children and teach them about sex education in kindergarten. Thank you, California. Once again, you're proving that you're losing your way. There's a time and place for everything. Children do need to be taught in school. There needs to be a subject matter in school on racism, on slavery, so that they understand where it come from, what it's about, what it's done to countries, and what it's done to people. And it needs to be governed based on their age. Schools need to change. I've always said that, and I'll always believe that. No two children are the same. Nobody reaches the same level of understanding at the same moment. And that even goes for adults. I've been an electrician most of my life. And sometimes I can teach somebody something and bam, instantly they got it. But sometimes I have to teach somebody 100 times before they get it. But when they get it, they got it. That's a whole nother conversation on a whole nother day. Racism is wrong. Slavery is wrong. It has existed way before now. America is ridden with this bull crap. And I'm going to let you know one last thing. I never owned a slave. I never believed in slavery. I never felt racist. I never sprayed racist slurs. I use very little slang because I believe my words are important and they should be precise to the best of my ability. And I've always believed that every human being walking on the face of the earth deserves the respect of being treated like a human being. It takes nothing less. That is what our children need to be taught. Not lies, not exaggerations, and not half-truths. Look, agree with me, disagree with me. It's all good. No matter what, I still got love for everybody. Even if you're lost in whatever's going on, I still got love. So y'all have a great evening. Take care. And I'll make sure I come back and rant again because this is actually therapeutic. Thank y'all. Have a good night.